Hey, Andy here from builderhottub.com. In this video, we're going to look at whether you can use pool parts for your DIY hot tub builds. So let's go ahead and take a look. Can you use pool parts on your DIY hot tub? So I've just had a conversation with a visitor to the website and he was asking lots of questions regarding particular pool parts that he wanted to include in a DIY hot tub build. And I wondered why he wanted to include them, and we'll look at that later in this video. But in short, I thought, what an excellent topic for a video, and of course the accompanying blog post, and you'll find a link to this underneath the video. Now, before we get going, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and as always, if you've got any questions, please do post them in the comments below. In general, the answer to the question, can I use pool parts on my hot tub, is really no. You should be keeping pool parts and hot tub parts totally separate. The main reason for this is all down to how a hot tub works versus how a pool works. So a pool plumbing system is designed to move large amounts of water through the sand filter, through the heater, slowly. There's no real speed involved, and the most important thing with a pool is that you're turning it over at least twice a day as a minimum. And that's really the only requirements for the actual plumbing. Now, with a hot tub, it's much more important that you can move that body of water a lot faster through your jets, and you've got to move them at a fixed flow rate. So if you've visited the website, read the blog, maybe watched some other videos on the channel, you'll notice that I talk a lot about the flow rates for each of the jets, and each of a hot tub jet requires 10 gallons per minute of flow. So if you've got 16 jets, 160 gallons per minute, it's not rocket science, really simple calculation. Now, the issue that you have with swimming pool parts is they're not designed for this kind of flow rate. So if you take a regular sand filter, and I'm sure there'll be a load of pool enthusiasts that will smash me in the comments over this, but the average flow rate for a sand filter is around 80 gallons per minute. So if you've only got 80 gallons per minute going through all of those 16 jets, it's just not going to work. You're not going to have enough flow. Take into account things like a swimming pool drain. Again, they're only around that 80 gallons per minute mark. So if you start combining different pool parts together on your hot tub, you're going to limit the flow. And then if you are actually using a hot tub pump, it's creating extra resistance. It could actually overheat and it could damage the kit. So, well, not only are the jets not going to work, but you could end up damaging your kit as well. So it's really not good. However, there are some pool parts that you can use in a regular hot tub setup. Now, by regular hot tub setup, I mean an existing setup that you have, and definitely you can use a pool skimmer. I use pool skimmers all the time in my concrete and my block-built tubs. They're regular swimming pool skimmers. There's nothing special about them that makes them a hot tub compatible one or anything like that. So a skimmer is definitely something that you can use. You can also use some of the pool automation systems. Now, the reason that you may want to do this is if you're using things like a salt chlorinator, or maybe you're using a gas or a propane heater, you don't want to use a spa pack. So you do need to have some kind of control. So you can actually use the things like the Hayward Pro Logics, Pentair have their own version as well. And these are systems that will control your pump and your blower, and you can use the actual pool setup to do that. So they're pool equipment. They're actually compatible with hot tubs as well. The things that you can't use, I've already mentioned. The sand filters are pretty much a big no because of the flow rates, but we will look at a way that we can actually incorporate them shortly. And the things like the lower drains, pre-filters, these are all things that you need to stay away from really with your DIY hot tubs, unless you're going to use a specific setup that I'll talk about very shortly. So how can we use these kind of pool parts on a DIY hot tub? Well, what you've got to do is you've actually got to create a dedicated plumbing system for them. So by dedicated, I mean take away the jets, so you're taking away the need for that flow rate and the fast moving water, And you can then put in a separate filtration and heating system that you could use a sand filter, you could use a pre-filter, and obviously a swimming pool heater if you really wanted to. The way you would do this is you would have two separate drains. Remember, you've always got to have two for safety and for regulation, and you would have your own, for this particular setup, returns to the hot tub. So I wouldn't use the jets at all, and the reason that I wouldn't use the jets is if you had the jet pump on full, the pressure would stop the actual circulation pump, which is a much weaker pump because it's got to move things a lot slower around. It would prevent it from entering into the jets. So I think it'd be much better if you had a dedicated inlets that were just for the plumbing and the filtration and the heating system. So you'd have two separate pumps, your circulation pump for the sand filter and the pre-filter, that kind of a thing, and then you would have a separate jet pump that powered all your jets. It would have its own inward drains as well, so you'd have two separate systems that would, allow you to use those pool parts. So why would you want to do that? Well, if you lived in a particularly dusty area, then a sand filter is quite often a better means of filtering than using a cartridge filter. The cartridge filter will clog very quickly if you're in the dusty Midwest, for example, and a sand filter is a better option, but you've got to have that separate kind of setup if you want to do that. Another reason is part supply. So pool's parts are much easier to come by than hot tub parts, so maybe you've got access to the pool parts a lot easier than the hot tub. Who knows? It's definitely a consideration that you can think about. One of the downsides to this setup is you are kind of doubling up on some of the components, so you are going to increase cost. So things like two pumps, obviously more expensive, sand filters, anything really that has swimming pool, as the swimming pool tax, as I always call it, anything to do with swimming pools are a lot more expensive than hot tubs. So this is going to be a more expensive setup. You will get a arguably better filtration system out of it to do it this way, but you've then got to run those independent setups and you've got to have more components and more expense. So it's really down to your personal preference and obviously your location as well. Some locations may require this kind of a setup. As always, if I can help you in any way with your project, if you have any questions, you can get in touch with me in the comments below. Drop me an email through builderhottub.com. Always happy to help with your projects in any way, whether it's a custom design, whether it's part supply. Any questions at all, just let me know. Hope you found this video useful. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. If you've liked this video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next video.